Let me say this up front. What you're about to see is not politics. It's not race. It's not social media drama. It's what happens when nobody is watching the money. And when people do start watching, things get violent, audits drop, and the feds show up. Let's start where this all blew up.
Get back! Get back! Get back!
Don't touch me! Don't touch me!
Get back!
Don't touch me! Don't touch me!
Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back!
Holy shit, he just pushed me. I'm calling the police.
Anyway, don't call the police.
Did you see that?
Yeah. All right. So, Mahek, what just happened?
He just freaking pushed me. I just walked in there and he just started pushing me and screaming, "Get back." I'm calling the police.
As you can see, folks, all we did was go in. We were going to ask some questions. And we were attacked here at Jubba Daycare, 614-269-7042, right here in Columbus. All we did was walk in the door. You saw the man come out. He grabbed a hold of Mahek, tried pushing her, and that's how fast things happen. That's how screwed up this place is right now, is these people are all about being violent. We didn't do anything wrong. It's a business. It's right here.
Now, we're going to pause it right there. The Ohio daycare worker just attacked a journalist. That reaction, that's not how normal businesses act. Nobody asked for a fight. Nobody stormed the building. They walked in and immediately got shoved. You don't act like that when you're proud of your paperwork, right? You don't. You act like that when questions are too dangerous for you. And here's the key thing. This didn't stay local for long, because while this was happening on the ground, the federal government is already moving. And when the feds move, they don't send tweets. They send agents.
Hey, you guys.
Had that 2x4 there, so it's not out of the ordinary.
Yeah. What is that there?
And do you know why we're here today?
¿Sabes por qué estamos aquí ahora?
No, no sé.
You will be held accountable for your crimes.
Vas a ser arrestado por los crímenes que tienes.
Dímele.
And we'll take you in for processing.
Buena pregunta. Yo no cometí un delito aquí.
Dice aquí hacen con Erika. Okay.
We'll take you in.
What? Okay.
This is an ICE raid in Minneapolis. And notice something. This isn't symbolism. This isn't messaging. This is boots, rifles, cuffs, real enforcement. And yet Minnesota leadership wants you to believe somehow everything is under control, that the outrage is exaggerated on our end, that the concern is misplaced, except the state's own audit says otherwise. But before we get to that, I wonder if y'all feel the way my girl Just Jen feels. Tim Walsh should be arrested for aiding and abetting murderers, rapists, terrorists, and fraudsters. Right below that, we leave that alone. But I see what Drew wrote. Why isn't Tim's mansion being raided? Well, while activists yell, auditors read documents.
Against fraud. The performance audit shows the Behavioral Health Administration sent millions of dollars out the door in grants without making proper checks into who was receiving them. And that is not even the most jaw-dropping finding. Lou Raguse has tonight's top story. Lou?
Julie, according to the nonpartisan Prison legislative auditor, this is another case of mismanagement of taxpayer money. But perhaps the most explosive revelation is that managers within DHS, the Department of Human Services, tried to cover their tracks by backdating and creating new documents.
I do want to talk about what a serious issue this is and how it is frankly unacceptable.
Another sobering report by the Office of the Legislative Auditor, this one concerning the Behavioral Health Administration within the Department of Human Services, which issues grants to providers treating mental health and drug and alcohol addiction, hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The audit found them issuing grants to applicants without a bidding process.
So what we saw is that there was multiple entities that could have been eligible, and they chose not to provide a justification for why they were picking those.
This report is quite stunning.
One outrageous example, the auditors found a grantee that was paid $672,000 for 1 month of work without any info on what they do. And the audit says the grant manager who paid it then left DHS a couple days later and became a paid consultant for that company.
To me, that's criminal.
Wow. Auditor Judy Randall says she was most shocked that during the audit, multiple DHS managers backdated or created new documents to try to cover their tracks.
Frankly, in the 27 plus years I've been with OLA, I have never seen this before. I will say we have had suspicions periodically, but we have never been able to prove it, to document it, and we did in this case, and it's very troubling.
Temporary DHS Commissioner Shireen Gandhi's response.
I was shocked to hear this information in the exit conference, and it is absolutely unacceptable that any staff would provide anything other than accurate representation of the work done to an auditor.
Now, there were a lot of questions from lawmakers about whether this audit should result in criminal investigations. So we'll see what comes from that. The Office of the Legislative Auditor provides recommendations both to the department and to lawmakers in case law changes are needed. Just one more time of what the auditor said regarding this fabrication of documents. She called it a systemic problem within DHS.
I mean, Lou, it just seems like every time you think it can't get worse, it does. I do think this is jaw-dropping. You mentioned that they were talking about criminal investigations. I think I speak for a lot of people watching right now who really want there to be some kind of accountability. Did you get any sense from that meeting today or in talking to any of your sources that there actually will be accountability?
Well, no, that's something that's going to require some follow-up, because one problem the auditors had is they didn't have subpoenas to issue to people that no longer work for the BHA within the DHS, and so they couldn't bring those people in and question them, and so it would take an outside agency such as law enforcement to look into it.
Just unbelievable. All right. Thank you, Lou.
Unbelievable indeed. This is the moment the story breaks wide open. Fabricated records, backdated documents, grants paid out with no verification. That's not a mistake, by the way. I want you to keep that in mind. That's a system that learned it didn't have to check anymore at all with anyone. And once a system learns that lesson, it spreads, which brings us to this. Because if the money's real, the building should be too.
All right, guys, so we are here. We found it, finally, all day long. The Somali Education Resource Center. Suite 301 here at 299 East Granville Road in Dublin, Ohio. Now, the deal is that $14 million into this center here. This is a single office. And by the way, there's nothing inside it. We've already looked. It is very, very, very much dark, and it looks like there's maybe a couch inside. So not anything here. Very nice security system, which I found very strange. So I assume that they probably have now taken our video and everything of us standing out here. But there is nothing here. And again, where's the money? That's the real question. Where is the money? Because the organization is supposedly $42 million over the past few years in taxpayer funding, and we have no access and we have no idea where it is. So we're just trying to ask some questions here, and we have yet to find anything at all. So we're going to keep looking, guys, but this is what we found so far.
Good work. This is an empty Somali Education Resource Center. $42 million. No people, no activity, just locked doors and some security cameras. That's what you get. And I'm telling you, that's not mismanagement. That's a missing money problem. That's what that is. Exactly. And here's what matters most. That, this isn't confined to one state at all, because once when investigators leave Minnesota, they keep finding the same exact thing.
Al Nassib Family Early Learning. This place picked up on the camera, and they said it's not a daycare, right?
Yeah, so we first knocked on the door. We brought Matthew Adams, the dad who brought his kids. He genuinely wanted to know if he could enroll his 2 daughters. And we're knocking on the door. As we're walking away, we hear somebody on the intercom saying, "What do you want?" And, we're like, "Where's this person?" And we realized there was a camera watching us the whole time. And when, Matthew straight up asks, "Hey, is this a daycare?" The person behind, this intercom video camera is like, "No." And he just wants to make sure that he heard correctly. He's like, "Are you saying this is not a daycare?" And he repeats the address of where we were at, and they're like, no daycare here. And we walked away.
Yeah, my name's Matthew. I'm here for put in an application for daycare for my daughters. We just moved over here from Kitsap County. I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. This location, the 3903 South Austin Street, is not a daycare? No, it's not. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Sorry to bother you. Have a nice day.
And again, another egregious example of a place that clearly says on the state website, this is a daycare, but when we show up to door knock, even the people there in that house say it's not a daycare.
Yeah, and I spoke to 2 separate neighbors at this place individually.
You were going door to door.
I was going door to door, and every neighbor that I spoke to said that they were totally unaware of a daycare at this place.
Hi, is this Al Nassib Daycare? No. No, it's not. Do you know if it's around here somewhere? No, I don't know. You've never heard of it? No. Okay, thank you. Hi, what's up? I was just wondering if this is Nassib Daycare?
No.
Do you know where that is at all?
Nope.
You
Sorry.
haven't seen any kids at any of the neighbors' houses?
I haven't obviously seen a daycare.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This place has taken in $251,000, about $250,000 since 2023. As I was editing this video, I came across something insane. It appears that on the Department of Children, Youth, and Family website, the address for this place has been scrubbed. And now it says that it's based in Kent, Washington, not Seattle, where we visited. So what I noticed is that when these addresses get scrubbed, you can actually search the address on the DCYF website and the place will still pop up in search results, despite the fact that the address isn't listed. It's like a remnant. So I did that for this place, and guess what came up? The Department of Revenue still has the original address in Seattle listed, but they claim the place is closed. Well, if they're closed, why did they rake in nearly $30,000 in the month of November? That's the most recently posted month for subsidy payouts. We'll know more in December. We'll find out if they got paid last month as well. But this is insane.
Neighbors haven't seen kids. The person inside says there's no daycare. The address keeps flip-flopping, changing, going every direction, but the checks don't stop. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, how does this actually work? That's when someone finally says the quiet part out loud. And when someone has nothing to protect, they tell the truth.
This video might not get any views, but whatever. I don't fucking care. Once upon a time, I used to live in this warm, lovely state called Minnesota. And within Minnesota, I was put on Minnesota Care, Minnesota Medicaid. And that Medicaid would pay for my methadone clinic. Not only did they pay for my methadone clinic, it paid for the medical taxi that I took to and from said clinic. Those taxi drivers were all Somalian. I was an addict. I didn't give a shit what was going on. But those Somalian taxi drivers used to have me write fake medical appointments, and they would pay me cash at the end of every month. I was a junkie. I didn't give a shit. So about 15 years ago, those medical rides, taxis, were driven by Somalians. They would be frauding my Minnesota Medicaid by me writing fake appointments. And what would I do? I would go to the dope man and put it into a needle and shoot it into my arm. So, do whatever you want with that information. But let's be honest, this Somali fraud that's going on, it's not new. It's been happening for quite some time. I'd say, well, I got about coming up on 11 years clean now. So the fraud that has been happening has been going on for a very long time. I'd say I started getting paid out by them motherfuckers probably like 13, 14 years ago. Do whatever you want to do with this information, but the medical scams, the fraud has been happening for a very long time.
That's not a theory. That's not speculation that I'm bringing to y'all right now. Same thing. That's a system that train people on how to exploit it. No background checks, no verification, and ultimately no accountability, just taxpayer money flowing. Which brings us to the most uncomfortable part of it all, y'all. Because when the spotlight hits, the behavior, it changes.
Can't pay for the gas bill since we have nothing coming in. We won't feed them, we'll keep them, or we're not going to take money back now. Just because of what's going on. And even a good, my mom was telling them right now, a good 3+ families left us, and they're like, they didn't leave, but they're like, hey, what's going on? Our children are like, I don't wake up all at night. Hey mom, we see cameras at work. Hey mom, we see people shouting at the drive. With our buses outside, there's legit people that are like snacking the cars with like kids in them. I just want to ask you, grown adults, and I'm talking about little babies, little toddlers in here. There's even more kids downstairs. So this is the one you told me the other day, but this is like the younger kids. This is the toddler classroom. Yep. The toddler classroom. Next door is preschool. Next door is infant. Downstairs is people think like a little makeshift building. It's not small. I'm not gonna lie. If I was a kid, this would be lit. I don't know if you know. Like, this is fun. Yeah. They got Roku things. They got games. Like they got toys. If I was here.
So as you can see, we finally made it inside of the quality Leering Center. But you watch how defensive everything feels when you review that clip. The explanations don't match the energy. Families are pulling kids, staff, nervous. That's what happens after people realize that they're being watched. And here's the bigger picture. You know, we're not looking for witch hunts. We're just asking for receipts. If the money is clean, then prove it. If the programs work, then just show it. What's so hard about that? I think that's fair. Because compassion without accountability is corruption hiding in plain sight. That's all that is. Here's the part nobody wants to talk about, though. Every scandal like this definitely follows the same script. First, you're told, hey, nothing has happened. Then you're told everything is being exaggerated. Then, you know, when the evidence piles up, you're told it's too dangerous for you to sit here and question anything. Don't ask questions. That's dangerous these days. And that's not compassion. I tell y'all every time, that's cover. Real compassion protects the people who needs help, not the systems that leak money, not the officials who refuse to audit, and not the programs that punish scrutiny more than fraud. We're not angry because the government spends money. We're angry because government stopped checking where the money goes. Hey, come on now. And when accountability disappears like that, corruption doesn't sneak in. It moves in, puts its feet on the table, and dares anyone to say something. Tell me I'm lying. This is why you saw violence instead of answers. This is why you saw audits instead of transparency. This is why you saw federal agents instead of explanations, because when oversight finally shows up, the truth, it just cannot hide anymore. This isn't about one daycare or one state. It's about what happens when leadership treats oversight as, you know, optional, you know, trust. You know what I mean? Like, it's just uncomfortable truth, y'all. System that can't survive scrutiny was never built to serve the public in the first place. So keep asking, we keep watching, and we're going to keep demanding receipts, because accountability, it isn't cruelty. It's the bare minimum. And when leaders forget that, it's the people that have to remind them. So if you made it to the end of this video, comment, follow the money. That way I know. Y'all be safe. Go check on a friend today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Same thing. Peace.